Hello everyone, this is the screencast for Unit 3B Forestry and Management. So first of all, we're going to take a look at North American forests. We already did biomes, but the US, there's a lot of forest. A lot of it is timberland, which means that it can potentially be logged. Only 7% of that is reserved, and 25.5% are non-commercial forest types, meaning that those areas are used for profit. So our main goal when we're doing forestry is that we actually create sustainable forests. So thinking back to our unit on sustainability, this is basically you need to make sure that there are enough trees so that the resource can be used by the next generation. So trees can either be a renewable or a non-renewable resource, depending on how we actually use that resource. So we now have this FSC, like Certification of Sustainable Forestry, and forest practices are established, and basically it sets standards so that these forests can be managed in a sustainable way. You've probably seen this FSC. It's 100% from well-managed forests, and so many of our things actually come from trees. The biggest thing is paper. So lumber will also be marked with FSC and stuff like that. But a series of harvests is necessary to prove sustainability, and trees don't grow very, very quickly. So it's not like you can have this certification within a couple of years. Sometimes it takes 20, 30, 40, 50 years to actually get this certification. I'm going to talk about rainforest layers. You have four main layers, the ground, the lower, the middle, the upper, and the emergent. So these are called different things, but your main stuff is your understory, and then you have layers like some sort of a groundish area, a lower area, then the canopy, which is the main portion that's covered, and then these emergent trees that actually pop out the top of this rainforest. And the way that a rainforest actually rains can be shown here. And I'm going to draw it for you once I get my mouse out. So what we have is we have the bottom. And you have kind of some shrubs down on the bottom. I'm such a great artist. And then you have a middle layer with these trees. Okay. And then what you end up having are your taller trees here. And these all get connected because this is what we're going to call like our canopy. And then you have these emergent trees coming out every so often. Now, as you guys know from water cycle and stuff like that, what you have is transpiration. So about 97% of the water that gets sucked up by these trees actually comes out of their leaves through the process of transpiration, aka leaf sweat. So as this water vapor comes out, all of these layers are emitting water vapor. And as it comes up, this water vapor kind of will hold on the bottom of the leaves of the layer above it. And what that does is that causes it to kind of deflect down. When it gets a little bit cooler, it rains down. Okay, so what you get is this whole internal water cycle within a rainforest. In addition to most rainforests being on the equator where you have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere anyway because of the evaporation from the ocean because of the warm temperatures. Tomorrow in class, we're going to start out with this rainforest clip, so you don't have to watch it now. So a forest watershed shows the effects of trees in evaporating water and preventing erosion and providing habitats for wildlife. So we're talking about a lot of ecosystem services here. The roots will anchor the soil, the water evaporates to go into the atmosphere, the trees intercept the water, you have these riparian zones, which are basically these root areas that prevent erosion from happening. And you have these buffers, or these riparian areas, right here, that basically all of the water that's running off here and any of the non-point source stuff or soil that's in it or pollution, a lot of times will get caught in this riparian zone and it won't go into the water. Okay. We have a lot of forest ecosystem services, provide wildlife habitat, they reduce soil erosion, they provide carbon sinks, they affect local climate patterns, they purify air and water, they provide oxygen and nutrient cycling, which we as humans need. And the biggest thing is oxygen for us. Without trees, we can't breathe. Okay. A lot of products come from forests, and products are different than services. When you're talking about products, you're talking a lot of times about things that you can touch and you can feel, whereas your services are going to be something. Your hot water heater is a product, okay? The water heater repair person is the person who's providing a service so that that water heater works. So our forest products have remained steady since the middle of the last decade. We have a lot of saw logs, veneer logs, which means like the pretty stuff, pulp for paper, and then other products that also come from forests. Russia has the largest forested areas, followed by Brazil, Canada, and then the US. A lot of our rainforests have been cut down. Russia is also a very, very large country that actually has mostly boreal or coniferous forests. All right, here, old growth forests. These are your carbon sinks, and they are climax communities. They've been undisturbed for thousands, if not hundreds, if not thousands of years. They're ecologically significant because they're high and often unique biodiversity. Most of our old growth forestry, rainforests, and temperate rainforests up in the northwest of the US and in California. Okay, so this is a scale of a person along with one of the big trees. This is in Sequoia National Park. Okay, this is me hugging one of those trees because trees deserve to be hugged. This is a root system of one of those massive sequoia trees, and this was uprooted, and the rest of the tree is facing away, and this is the bottom of the root system, which really just shows you how massive these trees are. This is the largest tree by volume in the world, and it's called the General Sherman, and it's in Sequoia Kings Canyon National Park. You can see these people standing over here to see how big it is. See these people? But it's just, it's huge, it's massive, it goes up and all around, and the pictures really don't do it justice with the scale. All right, so deforestation. Forests have been cut down since the Roman Empire, probably before then, and in South America, over 4.3 million acres a year are being lost since the year 2000. Human population growth is the largest cause. We cut down forests because we need the space and we need the resources. The biggest cause of deforestation is clearing land for agriculture and housing, and then the next one is goods such as lumber, paper, fuel. We are in a world firewood shortage. 63% of all wood produced is used for firewood. We're not talking about in New Jersey, you have a couple pieces of wood that you throw in your fireplace when it gets cold at night. We're talking about developing countries where fuel wood and wood cut down from trees is their only source of heat. And a lot of land is being cleared for fuel wood. And then you have indirect deforestation, the killing of forests due to pollution or disease. Okay. So we have different logging methods. You have clear cutting, which basically you cut everything down. You have selective logging where you go in and you just take specific trees from either specific places or that have specific characteristics or ages or species. And different types of selective logging are single scattered trees, trees above a specific girth or width, and then you have selected groups of trees in different areas. Okay. So clear cutting, you take all the trees down and it doesn't matter. The understory is destroyed, a new forest of economically desired trees sometimes is planted, sometimes not. This has a huge impact on the ecosystem. As you guys know, habitat destruction is the #1 cause of endangered species. And this also creates an insane amount of erosion because those roots are dying off. And then what happens is you have a lot of runoff because those roots aren't holding the soil in place. Okay, so all the trees are removed and sometimes they're replanted. This is the effects of clear cutting. This is a positive feedback loop. So the trees shade the ground. In the cool shade, the decay is slow, so trees take up nutrients from the soil. When we don't have these trees, the branches decay rapidly in these warm areas. The soil is eroded easily, runoff is greater, and then that causes other issues. So you can see here, what you have is you have the logging that happens. We call it slash and burn agriculture because whatever it is that's left over after you cut the trees, the roots, the branches, whatever it is that's there, you actually burn it. And then what happens is your nitrate concentration goes way up. And this is in a stream following logging and then burning. So your nitrate levels spike because of all that runoff, and eventually they will come down. So these are advantages and disadvantages of clear cutting. I'm not going to go through these. You guys can read them. They're also on your notes. Okay. Strip cutting is a variation of clear cutting. Trees are cut down in thin strips. Basically, you don't have a huge expanse that's cleared. It's cut down in strips, and that creates shade for that one specific area. Okay, and after reclamation of that area, like 3 to 5 years, the next strip is cut, and then the next strip will not be cut again for another 20, 30 years. This happens a lot in our commercial forests where these trees are planted specifically for lumber, pulp, whatever it is. Okay, selective logging is when we're taking specific trees out based on their height, girth, or their species. They're felled individually. Usually you don't have big roads cut into these areas, and as you can see, they're usually removed with helicopters. This is the most expensive option, but it is also the best when it comes to the ecosystem. Okay, and you can see these are commercial plantations. So commercial timber in many countries are pine trees because they grow very quickly and they're not susceptible to a lot of diseases. These are monocultures and they're ideal for logging and for milling. It's fast growing, produces strong general purpose timber, ready for logging in 20 years. Okay, these are these Monterey or radiata pines. So this just shows you the cycle that we saw basically in that selective logging. Now, forest fires. Forest fires are natural and they can occur as lightning strikes, concentration of heat on dry tinder. And in some situations, what we do is we do controlled burns to remove any dry tinder and material that could lead to a massive, massive uncontrollable fire in the future. 3 different types of fires. Surface, they burn the undergrowth and the leaf litter. It kills seedlings, small trees, but this stimulates germination for some species. Giant sequoias, jack pines, a lot of the pine barren species in New Jersey actually need fire in order to release the seeds from their cones. Crown fires are really, really, really bad fires. This is what was burning in California. In forests that have not had surface fires, they have a buildup of undergrowth and dead stuff underneath. They leap from treetop to treetop. It kills wildlife, increases soil erosion, and kills mature trees. Then you have ground fires, which are the weird ones. They're actually underground. They burn partially decayed leaves, peat, and bogs, and they're difficult to extinguish because they're burning underground. And I think that's all